Welcome to the Researcher Hub channel. For those who not familiar with this channel, this is a channel where you can learn project management, M&A, and project design and research, so on. So if you haven't subscribed for this channel, please go ahead to subscribe the channel to follow us. For some people, it's very hard to select a good indicator because somehow we don't know what is good indicator, right? So today we're gonna discuss what is good indicator. Indicator. What do I mean by good indicator? So good indicator, or in other words, it must be a smart indicator. So what does it mean? So a good indicator, it must be a complete statement. It must be specific, measurable, affordable, relevant, and time-bound. So we're going to discuss one by one together. What does it mean by specific, measurable, affordable, relevant, and time-bound? Specific. So specific meaning that statement tells you exactly what we want to measure. For example, in this case, the statement must tell you exactly whether you want to measure the waist or you would like to measure the flowers. Or somehow you might not just would like to measure the flowers, but you just would like to measure the leaf of the flower. So which part of this you would like to measure? What exactly do you want to measure? So that statement, that indicator statement, to rate as a smart one, it must distinguish exactly what you would like to measure. Next one, it must tell, if you are not going to measure something, you would like to measure the people, it must be clear who you would like to measure. From that statement can tell you exactly who you would like to measure. Just like this picture. Can you tell that which person that we would like to measure from this picture? Is it a girl here, in front here, standing next to the measurement, or a boy behind here? I'm sure that everyone, a majority, not everyone, but majority of you might say that it must be a girl standing next to the measurement. That is our assumption. Some indicators the same. When you look at the indicator, you have to make an assumption what they want to measure. But a good indicator must tell you exactly what you want to measure or whom you want to measure. The reader doesn't need to make any prediction or any assumption about that statement. We don't need to make assumption that, oh, probably you would like to measure that person or this group of people. No. A good indicator must depict clearly whom you would like to measure. Beyond that, a good indicator must measure only one thing in that statement. What do I mean by that? I'm not sure in your experience, but in my experiences, I have met many indicators that try to measure more than one thing at a time. Here's one example that I can share you. Number or percentage of household increase incomes and decrease debt. I met this sort of indicators many times. Have a look together. From that indicator, we can see that there are two keywords in here. You can see that number or percentage in here. So they have both number and percentage. Sometimes I'm just not sure. What do they really want? Do they want to look at the number, or they want to look at the percentage? So a good indicator must distinguish that, or choose only one. If you would like to to look at the number, just say a number. If you would like to see the percentage, just see the percentage. Don't make number or percentage. It is so confused. So I believe who those experience look at the log frame, look at the indicators, you might feel the same. That's too confused. Another thing, you can see that is also here. Percentage or number or percentage of household increase income or decrease debt. So here's two things. Increase income and decrease debt. So there are two things here that this indicator would like to measure. That's not a good thing. How many of you have seen this sort of indicator before? If you have, I believe you might feel the same. So you might feel challenges in terms of counting it. When there is an increase of, in some case there might be increase of income, but the decrease of debt not really happened. So how do you count the achievement of the indicators? That's kind of challenges. So that's why it's not good to measure two things at one within one using only one indicator. We need to drop one. So that's not good, right? It's not good to have that. We need to drop one. So a good indicator, again, only one thing at a time. So in this case, I would recommend to drop number because of some reasons we will discuss later on. But it here just said a percentage of household decrease debt. That's good enough, right? Probably that's good enough. But for the indicator statement, this is good. Not smart yet. We will discuss later on how a smart indicator look like, but it is better than before, right? Only one thing, percentage and decrease debt. So this is only one thing that we would like to see. We will discuss later on how to improve this sort of indicator. But at the meantime, just make sure only one at a time. So this is what I mean a smart indicator. What I mean a specific indicator or a specific component. That indicator must be specific. So we already discussed what is specific, right? Whom you want to measure, what you want to measure, and once at a time. To be specific, to make indicator specific, it must be clear on whom to be measured, what to be measured, and measure only one thing at a time. So now we move to point number 2, which is measurable. So a good indicator also must be demonstrate something that you can be measured, right? So we're not just only develop indicator that or pick up any measurement that cannot be measured, or somehow it's very hard to measure. That's too big to measure. For example, like this mountain, it's too big. You might say it's measurable, but somehow something that is too big, too ambitious, I would not recommend to do so. So just select something that you feel like it is measurable, that you can do. In this case also, you don't just say something that you just dream about. That might be good thing to measure, or that might be good indicator, an ideal indicator, an ideal measurement. But in reality, in practice, that might not be happen. So don't pick it up, right? So just select something that you can measure. So this is thing that I am when I'm talking about measurable. Okay, it's something that can be measured, something that can be count. It's not just something in your dream. Another thing is about affordable. So when you pick up any measurement, think about your capacity, organizational capacity to utilize that measurement. In other words, is it possible for the organizations to collect that data? When we discuss about possibility or affordability, I refer to the organizational expertise. Do you have an expert to use that measurement or to collect that information? Do you have enough budget just to collect that, to collect that sort of data? Do you have resource, enough people to collect the data? It's not just about technical people, but also it's about the number of people that help you to collect. Do you have enough people to support you to collect the data? And also, it's about time. Do you have time to collect the data? So all this is about the organizational capacity to collect the information or to collect the data. For example, if you would like to measure the impact of organic fertilizers, just example that you are running a agricultural project. So then you would like, which is related to the organic, introducing organic fertilizers. So probably you would like to see that impact, right? One of the indicator probably some things about the impact of the organic fertilizers. That's a good idea to measure it. But the question is, do you have an expert to do that? Just to calculate that thing, to form, just to collect different sort of information, a piece of information, to see the impact of organic fertilizers. I'm not really an expert in agriculture. I cannot tell the detail about that, but I can bring you another example related to the forest biological diversity, which one of the project I just participated last year. We would like in a province that we are working in the conservation, and then we are protecting the forest and wildlife. Therefore, one of our indicator, we would like to look at the biological forest biological diversity. So we said that to prove the effectiveness of our project is to look at the improvement of the forest biological diversity. So it sounds very good things measurement to prove the effectiveness of our project. However, when we deeply discuss on that, we really don't have expertise to measure it. Beyond that, it's really complicated. It's a really complicated thing that need an expertise to develop a model. What is good biological diversity, or what is good forest biological diversity. So that's a very complicated thing that are beyond my capacity as an M&A specialist. Then we really need an expertise on a forest biological diversity, but we don't have that sort of expertise in place. So all those, it is good indicator, but when there's a lack of expertise, still it's not good indicator because there's no resource to do it. So make sure any measurement that you selected is affordable for the organizations. Affordable meaning that you have the budget, you have a technical person, you have enough people to support a technical person to collect the data, you have time. Sometimes you might have a technical person to develop a model to collect the data or to analyze the data for that one, but probably you don't have enough time just to collect the data. So also that's not a good indicator. Moving to the next one is about the relevant. So a good indicator, a smart indicator or good indicator is my reflects to the intended change. What do I mean by that? So that means if you would like to see the improvement of the community, that's something that you're using to measure it must be relevant to the community, to the community development. Look at this. If this community improve through this, is it still relevant? This is very, very good. This is very strongly, significantly relevant things, I believe. But if you would like to see the community development, and then you indicate there's some things about decreasing the sick prevalence in the community. For instance, is it a thing that relevant? It's just an example for you to think. So somehow I map this sort of indicators that sometimes I feel yes, it might relevant, but not exactly relevant. Once I argue that by seeing the decrease of sickness in the community, it might link to the community development. Yes, it might be, but not really the case, right? It's like this one. It's like this one is clear, right? If you can see this kind of house or this community transformed to this, a good house, big road, like that. So you might quickly tell that there's improvement in this community. But if you see there's some decrease in sickness in that community, I'm not sure is that the indicator or is it indicating that there's improvement in that community. So to my opinion, it's not a case. Unlike this one. So we must select something that significantly relevant to the intended change. Make sure it reflects to the intended change. Look at the picture here. If this is a cat, when you look at the mirror, to make sure you can see it yourself as a cat. It's not a tiger and then you say that, okay, also it's myself. No, right? So cat, you can see a cat. Tiger is tiger. Another day, one of my friends just asked me about selecting an indicator to measure the learning outcome. So he wants to use the semester exam to measure the learning outcome. So he just consulted me whether it's a good indicator to measure the learning outcome in a province or a country. Uh, the same thing. Actually, a semester exam also be a good indicator as well. Can be a potential indicator. However, we have to look deeply on the context as well. If you really want to see the learning outcome in a country or in a community, however, the semester exam quality control at the school level is not good enough yet. So that indicator is not good, right? You have to select another one. For example, in my country currently, I'm not confident using this semester exam because the exam that take place in class, not really, the quality is not really accountable yet. However, for the high school, that during the national exam, it is very strict. Students cannot cheat currently during the national exam. So in that one, I really trust on that indicator. If I had to recommend for the high school students learning outcome, I would recommend the national exam as the indicator to measure the student learning outcome, just because of the context here. Similarly, if you met this kind of situation, please also consider the context. When you say that whether it's relevant or not relevant, somehow the indicators sound good, but the context is not really good, right? And then that indicator is not really relevant. So this is what we mean by relevant. Make sure the indicator reflects to what you would like to see, or the change you would like to see. Another example, if you would like to see, if the project would like to see the improve family well-being, what would be a good indicator or a good reflex to this? It must be the family's income, right? So family's income is one of good indicator to measure the family's improvement, a family's well-being improvement. Another indicator is the decrease of debt that we discussed earlier. So this is all good indicator that we can use to measure the family improvement, family's well-being improvement. So there's two indicators that you can use. One is the income. Another one is the debt, right? Think that you can measure it. So these all are relevant to the intended change. So we already covered four. We already covered specific, measurement, affordable, relevant. The last one is time-bound. So good indicator, that statement must have a time-bound, meaning that the indicator tell you when to be achieved. In this example, look at this example. Household income increased by 10%. So this is, you would like to measure the improvement of household well-being. You come up with this indicator, right? There's a household income increased by 10%. So you might say that, okay, this is very specific. What you would like to measure? Household income, right? So the household income increased by 10%. But then, by when? It is not clear. So there is no time bound for this indicator. So you cannot tell by when you would like to achieve that. Is it by the first year of the project, or by the end of the project, or after 10 years of project ending? There's not sure. right? So you must have a time-bound in the indicators. A time-bound is very important to determine the indicator achievement when you would like to achieve it. So we already mentioned about the all five points: specific, measurable, affordable, relevant, and time-bound. So in short, a good indicator, a smart indicator, must be specific, measurable, affordable, relevant, and have a time-bound.